Okay, it's time for a 10-minute rant about Disney's Wish. Now, here's what I got to say about this film. I kind of liked it. Is it perfect? No. Does it need to be? Absolutely not. Hey, this is like Disney's 100th anniversary film. Of course it's not going to be perfect. Of course it's not going to be Beauty and the Beast or Aladdin, The Lion King, or one of those. Do you really think lightning can strike that many times? Seriously, I hear a lot of people complaining like this is one of Disney's worst. Here's the thing. I don't think it's one of Disney's worst. It's definitely not one of their best, but it almost works. That's what I think people are really frustrated about. And that's what kind of got me frustrated about this film. So yeah, where do I begin? Let's start with the animation style. It's a bit different. It's not quite the kind of Pixar-y 3D animation that we're kind of used to seeing from any Disney product these days that uses that kind of stuff. Instead, they kind of opted for this thing that almost looked like their traditional 2D animated films painted on top of 3D animated forms. Now, maybe they took some cues from Into the Spider-Verse or Puss in Boots to realize, like, hey, this is what people want now, these kind of different style of animation. And they tried it. Once they had that ball, they ran with it. Maybe the results weren't the best, but here's the thing. The basic premise of this movie, I think, is really good. And they could have had a winner with this one. I'm not really certain why it didn't really follow through with some of its plot elements, but I have some suggestions because I've written books before and I've written stories, and sometimes you want things to be in a story, but a lot of times when you line up the elements of the story, eventually by the time you get to the end, it falls over like a Jenga tower with too many bricks pulled off the foundation. It just happens that way. Here's the thing. This film starts out very traditionally with the book opening and explaining who Magnifico the sorcerer is. This guy that apparently can grant wishes. So apparently he does have legitimate magical power that isn't really explained, only that he studied it a lot. And essentially he starts his own island, his own kingdom, because I guess he didn't want people taking advantage of his gift. There's a lot of stuff that I have to really fill in the holes on this because I feel like a lot of it needed to be better explained. And the more I think about it, the less it makes sense sometimes. So here's the deal. Magnifico builds this island and he invites anyone to come here who wants a wish. Now, I'm assuming that these wishes have to be very inspecific, but somewhat specific, because he puts the wish in this little bubble, and there's like a picture of the wish being granted in the bubble. Like, say, for example, like if you wanted to, I don't know, inspire others, you are playing a guitar or something like that in this thing and inspiring others. That's at least what the main character, Asha, I believe her grandfather, that's his wish. Now, here's the deal with Magnifico. He can only grant one wish a month, or at least that's what he chooses to do. It's not shown that apparently his power doesn't seem to be able to do this once a month. He could probably grant one a day, one a week, one an hour. It's not very obvious what he's trying to do. So here's the thing. The way the movie is formatted by showing Magnifico at the beginning, making you believe he's going to be the main character, he really isn't. He's in fact the villain. But it doesn't take long for the audience to learn that, yes, this is the case. And if you saw anything about the marketing of this film, they obviously showing Magnifico to be a villain, and more specifically, a very traditional Disney villain. That is not like somebody from like Frozen, who is revealed like at the last, the third act of the film, very unexpectedly. A little too unexpectedly, actually, but that's a different conversation. So here's the thing about Magnifico. I actually thought what he was doing was he was taking the power of these wishes and he was using it, and he was going to use it for malevolent ends. that didn't seem the direction that he was going originally. But suddenly the film makes a big heel turn by introducing the fact that Magnifico has this book of evil in his house that's underneath glass, that's protected by a charm of something so no one can just break in and get it. Even Asha asks him, why do you even have it to begin with? And it's like, that's a good question, never answered. You know, why not throw it in the fire? Do something with it if it's bad. Now Magnifico, or actually there's a scene where Asha and Magnifico are talking, and Asha begins to realize that Magnifico isn't going to grant all wishes. Now, if she had simply done the math on this, took the population of this island with the amount of wishes, then she would have easily arrived at this conclusion herself. I think what is bothering Asha is the reason why he doesn't do this, which I actually think is kind of interesting. And the idea that, yes, I can grant wishes, but only the ones that I don't think are going to be harmful overall. Now, I've actually I've seen a lot of videos and showing like, yes, if you had the power to grant wishes, there are some wishes that you probably wouldn't grant. There are some people who want to do harm with wishes. That actually makes a lot of sense. But I think I like the direction they went with this, where Magnifico kind of takes these wishes, kind of stores them up, and you could easily use Magnifico as a model of, say, like, one of those TV evangelist preachers that basically says, like, God will grant you all your prayers. But then when they don't come true, he has all these answers for, oh, well, here's why God didn't grant your prayers, always blaming you as sort of that thing. They could have gone that direction. You could easily use Magnifico as a stand-in for Trump. And yes, I actually kind of thought the movie was going in that direction. It might have been a bit on the nose if they totally went that direction. I'm kind of glad they didn't. Like, they could have easily styled his hair differently, or they could have made him talk like this. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of directions they could have gone with that. But I think if you look at Trump and the way Magnifico runs his little empire, obviously Trump is making a lot of promises that he can't keep, claiming that he grants wishes, but only certain wishes. So I feel like there's sort of a parallel you can drive here. So what really, something about this film where Asha realizes that, hey, Magnifico isn't going to help. I got to find my own way to grant my wishes. And she makes a wish on a star. And then the star comes down, and then animals start talking. And this is when the film really just collapses in upon itself. I really wish something would have been done here. The star looks like something out of Super Mario Galaxy, and I don't even see why Disney couldn't see that. I mean, and then when the animals talk, there's a goat who's voiced by Alan Tudyk, who I swear has a contract to be in like every Disney animated film now. Not funny, not good. This is where a lot of people start losing faith in the film, and this is kind of where I kind of lost interest in the film myself. Now, that being said, I regained interest during a scene where Asha realizes that, yeah, Magnifico is not a good guy. We got to go and get the wishes back. Legally, she probably shouldn't do that because I think on paper, Magnifico probably has some sort of contract going on so that anyone who tries to take the wishes is actually committing theft. But hey, I actually support what Asha's trying to do because I get it why she's trying to do. And I think that's an important aspect of this film to do, to deal with. There's a scene where Asha and her friends, who are modeled after the Seven Dwarfs and are so badly modeled after the Seven Dwarfs, it actually takes me a few minutes before I realize, oh gosh, that's where they're going. Because they have this ensemble cast that you're never going to remember, honestly. You're never going to remember them. And they just kind of show up. And then, so when she goes to try and, she goes to meet with her friends, and they have this number that I really like, knowing what we know now. I don't know if that's the title of the song, but that's what they're singing about. There's this weird kind of shadow play they do, and I actually kind of thought that what they were doing was doing like the heist scene where they have all these models and showing what they're going to do. Doesn't go that direction, but hey, I wish it would have gone that direction. I feel like, but at the end where I think Asha starts singing and everyone starts singing her Wish song, which is really a great song, honestly, I think this film kind of almost redeems itself. This film reminds me of Rise of Skywalker. All the elements are here for a great film. They just don't fit together exactly. But it almost works. It almost works! Really!